Have you ever noticed how some people seem to love pushing your boundaries, treating respect as if it's optional? They interrupt, make passive-aggressive comments, or act like your time and feelings don't matter? Should you just smile and let it go? Not today. If you're tired of tolerating people who don't respect you, this video is for you. Today I'm going to share an honest, and maybe even bold, way to handle disrespect without losing your cool and without sacrificing your self-respect. By the end of this video, you'll have all the tools you need to set clear boundaries and show everyone exactly where the line is drawn. Let's dive in. 1. Embrace the silent stare. Have you ever tried the power of a silent stare? It might sound simple, but trust me, it's one of my all-time favorite techniques. When someone acts rude or disrespectful, nothing unsettles them more than a calm, steady gaze. People who try to provoke others are usually looking for a reaction. They want you to stammer, get flustered, or fight back, so they can drag you into their drama. But when you just look at them quietly, with no expression, the power dynamic shifts instantly. You might be wondering, just a look? Let me share a story where this approach worked like magic. I was at a family gathering, and one relative kept criticizing everything from the food to the decor, and even everyone's stories. When he made a disrespectful comment about me, I didn't argue or react. I simply looked at him, silent and expressionless. He fumbled, grew uncomfortable, and eventually stopped. For the rest of the event, he didn't bother anyone. That silent stare worked better than any words could have. It didn't just stop his behavior, it made him treat me with more respect afterward, as if he finally understood that I wasn't someone he could easily dismiss. Sometimes, the strongest way to protect yourself is by saying nothing at all. When you meet someone's gaze with that steady, silent look, you're sending a clear message without speaking a word. I'm not playing your game. You're not being drawn into their fight. You're asserting your right to peace and dignity. When someone disrespects us, the natural response is often to defend ourselves, either to explain or worse, to just let it slide, to avoid making a scene. But the silent stare isn't about being aggressive. It's about showing that you won't be pulled into their negativity. People who habitually disrespect others often do it thoughtlessly, never confronted. But when you look at them with a steady, silent gaze, you act like a mirror, reflecting their actions back to them. The beauty of the silent stare isn't just in stopping their behavior. It strengthens your own self-respect. Standing still and composed reminds you that their words or actions can't shake you. I used to be the type of person who would laugh off rude comments or try to explain myself when questioned, but honestly, that only drained my energy. Learning to simply look at someone and let the silence fill the space without budging was a game changer. It feels like a small act of defiance, a quiet but powerful statement of self-respect. So if someone is rude, crosses a line, or tries to make you feel lesser, try the silent stare. Just look at them and let them feel the weight of your calm. You'll be surprised at how unsettling it is for them and how empowering it feels for you. The silent stare says, I respect myself too much to be dragged into your negativity, and that's a message well worth sending. 2. Embrace silence as your answer. Have you ever realized just how powerful silence can be? Sometimes the best response to disrespect is no response at all. You might think staying silent is passive, as if you're letting them get away with it. But in reality, silence is anything but weak. It's a choice, and a powerful one. When you choose not to engage in someone else's negativity, you force them to sit alone with their own actions. That silence speaks volumes. People who disrespect others often expect a reaction. They're looking for an argument, a defense, or even just a hint of confusion to validate themselves. But silence says, I'm not giving you my energy. By not reacting, you keep control of the conversation and send the message, I'm not here to entertain your disrespect. Sometimes, the most impactful form of communication isn't communication at all. It's a subtle reminder that they're not worth your time or your words. I once had a friend who couldn't resist making jokes that crossed the line, comments masked as humor but clearly meant to insult. One day, he made an unnecessary remark about my personal life, something clearly meant to rile me up. Normally, I would have tried to explain myself or maybe even fire back, but this time, I just looked at him, raised my eyebrows, and said nothing. I left his words hanging in the air, forcing him to sit with the awkward silence. He didn't know what to do. He glanced away, mumbled something, and quickly changed the subject. After that, he stopped trying to drag me into that nonsense altogether. It was as if he realized I wasn't someone he could easily throw off balance. That silent look did more than words ever could. It shut down his behavior and showed him that I wasn't playing along. Choosing silence when faced with disrespect strips that negativity of the attention it craves. Here's the deeper message. When you choose silence, you're choosing yourself. You're saying, I value my peace more than I value your opinion of me. That's not just empowering, it's transforming. We often feel the pressure to respond, to explain, to defend our choices, to justify ourselves to people who frankly don't respect us. But by staying silent, you're refusing to play by their rules. You're holding your ground without lifting a finger. You're showing them that they're not worth your words. It's not just about controlling the situation, it's about reclaiming your energy. Silence becomes a filter, keeping your peace intact while blocking out the negativity others try to throw your way. The moment you stop feeling the need to respond to every rude comment, every passive-aggressive criticism, you free yourself. You stop letting people access your inner world, and you start living life on your own terms. I'll be honest, learning to embrace silence wasn't easy for me at first. I used to think that if I didn't stand up for myself, I'd look weak or passive. But I started noticing something interesting. Every time I replied to those who didn't respect me, I ended up feeling drained. But when I stayed silent, letting their comments pass by like white noise, I realized I felt lighter, stronger, more in control. It was like I was reclaiming a part of myself every time I chose silence over reaction. So, here's my challenge to you. The next time someone disrespects you, stop. Take a deep breath, look them in the eye, and say nothing. Let your silence speak. You might be surprised by how uncomfortable it makes them and how liberated it makes you feel. Consider silence your answer, because sometimes saying nothing is the loudest statement you can make. 3. Stop justifying your choices. Have you ever noticed how whenever you make a personal decision, someone always wants to know why? Why did you pick that option? Why didn't you attend that event? Why did you leave your stable job? It feels like everyone expects you to explain every move you make. Here's the reality. You don't owe anyone an explanation about how you choose to live your life. Your decisions are yours, and you don't need to justify them to anyone. This may seem a little rebellious, but let's face it. When people ask why you did something, they don't always want to understand. Most of the time, they're looking to judge you, to push you into questioning yourself, or to make themselves feel better about their own choices by getting you to second-guess yours. You don't have to play into it. By choosing not to explain yourself, you take back control, sending the message that your life isn't up for debate. But why do people feel entitled to answers in the first place? Often it's because your decisions challenge their view of the world. Maybe you're taking risks they're afraid to take, or stepping out of a comfort zone they hold dear. Just because your independence makes them uncomfortable doesn't mean you owe them a thing. Your life is not a public service announcement, and you don't need to explain your choices. I remember when I decided to change careers, leaving a secure job to pursue something I was passionate about, even though it involved greater risks. People acted as though I had just announced I was moving to Mars. "Why give up a stable job?" they asked. At first, I tried to explain about my passion and plans, but the more I explained, the more they questioned me, making me doubt myself. Then one day when someone asked, I simply said, "Because I want to." No details, no lengthy explanation. And you know what? It felt incredible. The silence that followed was priceless. People didn't know how to respond because I had taken away their right to question me. And guess what? They eventually stopped asking. That's the power of not explaining yourself. It sets you free. When you stand firm in your choices, knowing they're valid because you made them, you stop wasting your energy on justifications. Instead, you start living the life you truly want. Here's the deeper lesson. Your life doesn't need approval from an audience. Not every decision needs to be analyzed or approved by others. When you stop explaining yourself, you're telling the world, "I'm confident enough in my decisions that I don't need your approval." Think about it. When was the last time you saw someone truly confident, explaining their decisions to others? Probably never. That's because those who've mastered their own lives don't seek validation from outside sources. They know that the only approval that matters is their own. I've been there. I used to give people a full rundown of why I made certain choices, just hoping for their support. But over time, I realized that explaining myself only made me doubt my decisions. So I made a rule for myself. When someone asked about my choices, I gave them a short answer, just 1 or 2 sentences. If they pushed further, I'd smile and move on. And you know what? Life got so much lighter. The more I stopped explaining, the more confident I felt in my choices. So here's a challenge for you. The next time someone questions your decision, resist the urge to explain. Just say, "Because I want to," or "It's the right choice for me," and let the silence speak for itself. You'll feel stronger, more in control, and more at peace with yourself. And the best part? You'll realize that your choices are valid simply because you made them. Before we move on to the next point, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe with the bell icon so you never miss future content. And if you love this kind of wisdom, drop a comment saying, "Love this wisdom." Let's keep learning together. Keep your distance. Have you ever felt like no matter how much you try, some people just don't respect your worth or your boundaries? Here's a tough truth. Not everyone deserves to have a front row seat in your life. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, one of the healthiest things you can do is keep your distance. This isn't about harboring anger or overreacting. It's about respecting yourself enough to protect your energy and peace. Maintaining distance doesn't mean being cold or ignoring others. It's about being selective with where you spend your time and emotional energy. Think of your life as an exclusive club with limited access. Not everyone deserves a VIP pass. If someone continuously crosses boundaries, making you feel drained or uneasy, why keep them close? Creating distance gives you the clarity to see things for what they really are without the cloud of emotional manipulation or guilt. When you allow people who disrespect you to stay close, it's like you're inviting them to a personal emotional buffet where they can judge, criticize, and undermine you. It's no wonder you feel drained or anxious. Giving yourself space from these people is an act of self-preservation. It's about protecting your mental well-being, keeping your peace, and making room for those who genuinely respect and uplift you. I had a friend once who never missed a chance to criticize my choices, my career, my relationships, even my taste in music. At first, I told myself it's just their personality. Maybe I'm overreacting, so I kept them close, thinking it wasn't a big deal. But over time, those little jabs began to wear on me, and I realized I was walking on eggshells. always preparing for the next criticism. One day, I decided to try something different. I didn't make a big announcement or confront them. I just started seeing them less. Instead of meeting up every week, I'd see them once a month. And you know what? I felt lighter, freer. With that space, I could see how toxic the friendship had become, and I realized I deserved people who lifted me up, not tore me down. Some might tell you that distancing yourself is selfish, that you should stay loyal or forgiving, especially if they're family or someone you've known for years. You might feel guilty or uncomfortable admitting that someone close to you isn't good for you. Society tells us to be kind and understanding, but at what cost? Here's a little secret. Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's necessary. You aren't here to be anyone's emotional punching bag or their source of constant validation. Sometimes the most powerful way to show someone you've had enough is simply to step back. Here's the deeper truth. Distancing yourself is a powerful reminder that you come first. You don't have to play the role others assign to you. You don't owe anyone access to your time, emotions, or mind. When you create distance from those who don't respect you, you're declaring that your well-being is your top priority. And it's not just about self-care. It's about creating space for the relationships that truly matter, the ones that lift you up. Think about it. The more time you spend with people who respect and uplift you, the more confident and fulfilled you'll feel. And the less time you spend with those who bring you down, the less impact they'll have on your thoughts, your mood, and your life. I used to feel guilty about distancing myself from people who weren't kind to me, wondering if maybe I was overreacting. But over time, I realized that distancing myself wasn't just about keeping negativity away, it was about creating space for growth. So here's my challenge to you. Think about the people in your life who consistently disrespect you, who make you feel small or drained. Ask yourself, do they really deserve this much access to your life? Hold your head high. Have you ever felt like someone was intentionally trying to make you feel small, as if they took pleasure in putting you down? In those moments, you've probably heard the advice, hold your head high. While it may seem simple or even cliched, this piece of advice holds real power, especially when you're dealing with disrespect. When someone disrespects you, they often expect you to shrink back or question your own worth. They want you to lower your head and step aside. But when you stand tall and keep your head high, you are sending a powerful message. I know my worth, and nothing you do can change that. The power of this gesture lies in confidence. Confidence can make others uncomfortable, especially those who tend to put others down. They rely on their words or actions to control you, to make you falter. But when you refuse to let their negativity affect you, when you walk with your head high and your presence strong, you're showing them that they no longer hold that power over you. You're unshakable. And that throws them off balance, making them question their own power instead of yours. I remember a time when I had to deal with someone who took joy in throwing subtle digs my way whenever we met. Huh? You know the type. The one who smirks and cracks jokes that feel more like insults. I felt like I had to put up a shield just to get through it. One day I decided enough was enough. I wasn't going to let them make me feel small anymore. I walked in with my head held high, and every time they made a snide remark, I simply looked at them, smiled, and kept going as if nothing had happened. The remarkable thing was that they started to back off. They could sense that their words no longer affected me, that I had risen above it all. Their power over me started to fade. There's something magnetic about holding your head high. It creates an invisible shield. a psychological barrier that only you can build. People who don't respect you tend to dislike this because it disrupts their worldview. They want to believe they have some kind of hold over you, that they can dominate you. But when you walk with confidence, it shatters that illusion and breaks down the narrative they've created. This may make you a target at times, but remember, holding your head high isn't for them, it's for you. It's a way of honoring yourself, of showing the world that you don't need anyone's validation to know your worth. When you hold your head high, it's a profound message of self-respect. It says, no matter what you do or say, I still believe I deserve respect. Your self-worth is not something that others grant you, it's something you give yourself. You live as if you already have everything you need, because you do. Holding your head high serves as a reminder that you are the main character in your own story. No one else's opinion has the right to make you feel small. In the past, this wasn't easy for me. I used to bow my head, avoid eye contact, and shrink myself just to avoid the sting of criticism. But over time, I realized that every time I stood tall, every time I refused to let someone's negativity seep into my soul, I felt stronger. It became a reminder to myself that my worth doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. I could stand proud of who I am. Holding your head high isn't just about posture, it's also about mental strength. When you walk into a room, do it as if you belong there. Don't shrink yourself to fit someone else's narrow view of who you should be. If someone throws a nasty comment your way, let it go. It's not about you. They're projecting their insecurities onto you. Remember, respect starts with you. The more you respect yourself, the less room there is for others' disrespect to affect you. Stand tall, embrace your worth, and know that you are worthy of every bit of confidence. Now that you know how to handle those who fail to see your value, remember that life is too short to bend yourself to fit the views of people who don't appreciate your worth. You don't need anyone's permission to stand tall. Protect your peace and live life on your own terms. Thank you for watching. If you found value in this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more content on taking control of your life and building the confidence to thrive. Don't forget to share this video with anyone who might need a reminder to stand strong. And hey, leave a comment below if you have a story about handling disrespect or setting boundaries. I'd love to hear it.